Minister of Mineral and Petroleum Resources of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Minister, I just had my 101, is my professor, and the test will come in February, and I hope to pass the test in February. So looking forward to that. Excellencies, distinguished ministers, Mr. N.J. Ayuk, the Executive Chairman of the African Energy Chamber, thank you for your inspiring statement. And leaders of African and global financial institutions, captains of industry, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. I am really delighted to be here. First, I want to thank the African Energy Chamber for convening this essential forum. We gather here in Johannesburg at a critical juncture. The global energy landscape is in flux, driven by decarbonization, digitalization, and geopolitical realignment. And at the center of this transition stands our continent, Africa. We are all familiar with the paradox, and it has been stated by the minister and also by my brother. Africa possesses 60% of the world's best solar resources, vast, untapped hydropower, significant reserves of natural gas, and the critical minerals essential for the green transition. And I've been told that there is nothing that is critical. All mining is important by my professor this morning. Yeah. Yet nearly 600 million of our people still lack access to reliable electricity. This is not merely a developmental challenge. It is the single greatest impediment to our industrialization, the realization of the African Free Trade Area, and the achievement of our blueprint, the Agenda 2063. The theme of this forum calls for real solutions. Today, I want to focus on the architecture we're building at the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, your development agency, honorable ministers, to move capital from the boardroom to the grid. And this has been stated by the minister earlier on, ensuring that we end energy poverty with speed and at scale. Excellencies, distinguished guests, the future of African energy is not fragmented, nationalistic, or ad hoc. The future is integrated, efficient, and continental. Our blueprint for this future is the Continental Power System Master Plan, the CMP, developed by AUD and NEPAD, our agency, in collaboration with our member states. The CMP is not a theoretical exercise. It is the engineering and economic strategy to create the African single electricity market, the AFSEM. We are designing the world's largest interconnected energy market. It will optimize our diverse resources, moving solar from the Sahel, leveraging the hydro potential of the Congo Basin, and utilizing strategic gas reserves to create efficient cross-border trade, drastically reducing generation costs and enhancing energy security across all 55 member states. We have the resources. We have the master plan. Where then is the bottleneck, is the question that we need to ask. It is not primarily a lack of finance, it is the lack of bankable investment-ready projects. The infrastructure graveyard, ladies and gentlemen, is filled with good concepts that failed to reach financial close because they were not adequately prepared and de-risked. The African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, is focused relentlessly on this upstream challenge, early stage project preparation. We have operationalized specific instruments to accelerate regional integration projects under the Program for Infrastructure Development in Africa, which we call PIDA. First, the Service Delivery Mechanism, the SDM, which is our accelerator. It provides the hands-on technical expertise, coordination, and capacity building required to move complex cross-border projects from concept to feasibility. Second, the PIDA quality level, the PQL, is the African Union's seal of approval. It signals to the global investment community that a project has undergone rigorous vetting, meets the highest technical standards, and is politically prioritized. For investors, the PQL reduces uncertainty and fast-tracks due diligence. Third, we are shifting our strategy from isolated projects to portfolio project preparation, focused on integrated economic corridors. We no longer look at a transmission line in isolation. We package groups of projects, blending energy, transport, ICT, and industrial hubs along strategic corridors. This creates scale, diversifies risks, and maximizes the economic impact, making the investment proposition far more attractive to foreign and institutional investors. To finance this transformation, we must embrace a new paradigm centered on African institutional leadership and innovative private sector participation. The era of relying predominantly on external financing is over. We are witnessing the ascendancy of our African development finance institutions. The collaborative power demonstrated by the members of the Alliance for African Multilateral Financial Institutions, which we call AMFI, including the ADB, Afreximbank, the Africa Finance Corporation, the TDB, and Africa 50, is truly unprecedented. They are deploying innovative instruments, taking on early stage risk, and crowding in private capital. We saw the power of this coordination recently at the Luanda Financing Summit, where we moved beyond pledges to concrete alignment, establishing an accelerated financing roadmap for priority PIDA programs, or PIDA corridors, actually. However, DFIs cannot do it alone. We must aggressively mobilize the private sector. We need to standardize and streamline frameworks for public-private partnerships, build, operate, transfer BOT models, and efficient engineering, procurement, and construction, which we call the EPC, contracts that prioritize local content. We must also embrace innovative mechanisms like asset recycling. By optimizing the balance sheet of existing revenue-generating infrastructure assets, governments can unlock billions of dollars in dormant capital to finance new greenfield energy projects without accumulating unsustainable debt. Crucially, we are mobilizing our deepest reservoir of capital, which is our domestic markets. African pension funds, it's been said, and sovereign wealth funds now hold approximately $1.5 trillion in assets under management. Through the 5% agenda, we had a 5% agenda, which was championed by the African Union Development Agency, we are working to direct just a fraction of this domestic capital towards African infrastructure. This will be the game changer. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, finally, as we build this infrastructure, we must look beyond simply generating electrons, like you said, Honorable Minister. We must focus intensely on the productive use of energy. If we are to achieve our ambitious targets and the goal to connect 300 million more Africans, projects must demonstrate clear revenue streams. And I will increase that because the 300 million is the World Bank FDB program, M300, but our need is 600 million. Investors need assurance of reliable takeovers or off-takers. They need an assurance of reliable off-takers. Energy access cannot just be about lighting homes. It must power small and medium enterprises, like you said, the Kemis and the Meriama, mechanize agriculture, enable digital services, and fuel industrial hubs. The productive use of energy creates the economic rationale for investment and ensures the socioeconomic impact of electrification. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the architecture for Africa's energy transformation is in place. We have the blueprint, the CMP, the Continental Master Plan. We have the tools to ensure bankability, the service delivery mechanism, and the PIDA quality level. We have the strategy, the integrated corridors, and portfolio preparation. And we have the capital, led by our African Development Finance institutions and the mobilization of our institutional investors. What we need now is accelerated execution and radical collaboration. To the investors in this room, I will say Africa is ready, despite the perception. The perceived risks are manageable, and the opportunities are unprecedented, unparalleled. Join us not as donors, but as partners and co-owners of the continent's energy future, which will fuel not only Africa, but yourselves, the world, the entire world. Let us move from commitments to commissioning. Let us turn the vision of an energized, industrialized, and integrated Africa into a reality.